let's be really clear. HUD is at its end with us. They expressed to me today in no uncertain terms, we have got to get our stuff together, we have got to move on all of these items, or else there are going to be dire consequences. You as a board, and I'm not trying to, and as I told you all before, I can only give you my advice and you can do whatever the heck you want to do. But you also, I have to tell you, have a fiduciary responsibility to the residents in these units, to the residents that utilize our Section 8 vouchers, and also to the residents of the parish of Jefferson and the state of Louisiana.
I'm going to suggest one more time.
Can I respond to that real quickly, please?
That we're going to take executive session.
Can I respond to this very quickly?
No, I think that, it's too many things.
Look, there's a motion and a second to adjourn. We can vote on that. I'm not going to participate in that. I know we need to pass the budget. I spoke 40 minutes with Cheryl Williams on Tuesday night, and we went over what could be on the agenda. And she wants the budget passed. She said you need to come together. And I said, Ms. Williams, I want to come together. I want to pass the budget. This was my third attempt to pass the budget, the third attempt. Okay? So I suggest that if that's what you want to do, and I know maybe the two of you want to just destroy the housing authority. I don't know. It would seem to me that's not the best thing to do, is to get up and walk out of here if that's
Can
what
I
you want
respond, please, Mr. Chairman? Can I respond?
Excuse me, yeah, you want to say something, Ms. Pearson?
Yes, sir, I do. Okay, and I want to make an opinion on this when I finish. We came together on the 16th. 4 of us put together an agenda, we put together a letter, and we sent the letter in. We asked for the meeting within the 72 hours that was required. We came together. I had to come and post, once I asked our secretary to post that agenda that we asked for. I asked her to post it. She refused by your instruction. I came, I posted it. It was ripped down. Mr. Davis came and posted it. It was ripped down. I came and posted it again. That meeting was a legal meeting on the 16th. But because, as I requested an email, I've got all the emails, I requested that all board members be notified of that agenda, we couldn't go forward with that meeting on the 16th, with all of the issues that HUD has brought to us that we need to fix. Believe me, I've spent more time talking to HUD and talking to the sheriff than I have in the 30 years I worked for him. So, we came together on the 16th, and we couldn't do anything because the secretary of this board, who works for all 9 of us, did not pass that on to other. I'm not finished, Mr. Chairman.
Correct.
So then, let me finish. So we, at that meeting, which was a legal meeting, according to state law, we came together and said, and we agreed in a resolution, that we would put all of that as it was written by the 4 people who requested that meeting tonight. Again, you changed it, Mr. Chairman, the agenda to where it suits your needs.
Well, it's not
And then, I came
came
out again last night, posted it. It's been posted for 24 hours, it's been posted to social media, and it's been posted probably all over the country by now, because I opened it to the public and asked everybody to post it. So, we need to take up the agenda that the 4 people requested, and if we can't, then, you know what? This housing board is not worth anything, because all we're gonna do is whatever one person wants to do.
Excuse me, I'm sorry, excuse me.
I'm done.
Let me mention to you what happened. You think that you did the right thing. Ms. Bodine, Mr. Kaliva, and Ms. Minor never did receive your agenda. Never
I asked
received
the
it.
secretary to do that.
They never received your agenda.
I asked the
Secondly,
secretary,
let me explain
did you want
something
the
to you.
email?
Let me explain something to you. First of all, my agenda was up there. Which was the agenda? You don't have an agenda put together by 4 people that says that I have to call that agenda. I set the agenda, not 4 individuals. That's nothing more than a request. If I ask Mr. Woods, I request that you resign tonight. Do you have to resign? No, because that's nothing more than asking, okay? So when you do that, a request of 4 members, it's nothing but you're asking. I don't have to accept that as chairman, because I set the agenda, and you also didn't follow the bylaws, okay? Now, I don't have to repeat this tonight, excuse me, Mr. Davis. I went through this whole thing for you, explaining why those two agendas were illegal, all right? We didn't follow the bylaws, we didn't follow the open meetings law. For that reason, I created the agenda tonight to address the issue of the budget, the 4.2 million, and then resolving the matter of the 2012 audit, the final one. That's what she asked me to do. She sent me an email to that effect. That's what I'm doing. So we want to deal with the CMAQ. Mr. Woods, what did Ms. Williams tell you about the CMAQ?
Wait.
We can't deal with your
He gave us a legal opinion last time.
No.
He said it was right to
At
do
the
it.
last meeting, our lawyer said that
It was right.
the intent of the bylaws, and the only reason those provisions are in the bylaws are for the very reason when we have an impasse with a chairman who is not allowing agenda items to be placed on the agenda, is to provide a vehicle for board members to get items on the agenda. I know that you don't like that happenstance,
No, excuse me.
but the
Mr.
fact of
Woods.
the matter is
The chairman
that
says the
that is
agenda.
the
You
whole,
know that.
why would the bylaws even talk about 4 members at all if it still was on the whim of the chairman to place it on the agenda? It only requires 1 member of the board to request, if it was just a request, and it's still dependent upon the whim of the chairman to place it on the agenda. The bylaws would never even contemplate that and go into that. So maybe what we need to
No,
do
you make
is
this
follow
mistake.
declaratory action.
That's not a
to fo-
mistake.
That's not a mistake.
Yes.
To follow
It doesn't say
declaratory
that.
action and
Would you
have
like
a
to read
judge
these, Mr.
determine whether or not that our lawyer is correct, and we as the 4 members, and maybe there's more than 4 members that feel the same way, that's why those provisions are placed in the bylaws. They're not uncommon. I've seen them in other bylaws of other organizations. So that if there's a minority of the board that has a desire to have an issue brought up, that they can compel the chairman so that we don't have this particular situation in an impasse, to have an agenda item and an opportunity to be heard. This is not unusual.
Mr. Woods, in the bylaws, it says may. It doesn't say must, doesn't say shall.
Well,
You
I-
know the difference as an attorney.
I do
You
know the difference in
So
what I
what I'm
said.
trying to tell you is how does that, first of all, I just read to you why those 2 agendas are illegal. That they violated the open meetings law and it violated our bylaws. I've already explained it to you, so we can't consider those. I understand that. We just can't consider those.
Mr. Lawson, wait. So since you're quoting the bylaws, let me quote them to you. Article 3, Section 3. After the sentence you're referring to, the chairman of the authority may, when he deems expedient, call a special meeting of the members of the authority. Period. End of sentence. Additionally, at the written request of any 4 members of the authority. Period. What does that mean to
It
you?
goes back that the chairman, which you.
No, it doesn't go
Yes,
back to
does.
anything. That's a separate provision.
No.
If that's your legal
The
opinion,
chairman-
we have a legal opinion
Listen,
from our
the
attorney. I
chairman-
choose to follow his.
Excuse me, the chairman calls the meeting. The chairman calls the meeting. That's who calls the meeting. Not 4
and
members.
4 members
No.
Mr.
It
Woods,
says, you said may.
please.
No, they do not.
Yes.
Listen, I had the same problem with Lynn Giordano when she was the chairman. I wanted something on the agenda, it didn't happen. She wasn't gonna allow it, okay? So what I'm trying to tell you, Mr. Woods, is we're not dealing with the 2 agendas of November 16th, but the one that's before us tonight.
Yes, we are.
That's where we are.
We adopted that agenda by unanimous consent at the November 16th
It
meeting.
wasn't done according to the open meetings law.
Ours was.
Yes.
Well, no, it wasn't.
It
I
was.
just read it to you.
Yes, it was.
No, it wasn't.
Yes, it was. Yes, it was.
I'm not gonna, this is ridiculous.
Mr.
No,
Lawson,
no.
we're gonna have our
Excuse me.
agenda. We will have
We're
our
not
agenda.
going to have
Yes,
that
we
agenda.
will.
No, it's illegal.
We will have our
Do what you
agenda.
gotta
You cannot
do.
do it.
Do what you
Sue
gotta
us.
do.
No,
Do
you
what you
sue
gotta
me.
We're gonna have our agenda. We have 5 people who are gonna be here. We have 5 people who are gonna be here. And we
Mr. Woods, when does agenda start to supersede other agendas and other people get to put, whatever they want on the agenda? So let's have 4 people next month go put whatever they want on the wall outside, and so 4 people will always be running the 9-member board.
Mr. Lawson, 4
No,
commissioners
Well, 4
of this
commissioners,
board.
right.
No, Mr.
Okay,
Lawson.
the point is, Mr. Woods,
The role of the
Do you
chairman is
understand what the- I just
to
read to you?
accommodate the members of the board.
excuse me, excuse me, Mr. Woods,
That's the role of
do you
the chairman.
understand, do you understand what I just read to you about we didn't follow the open meetings law? We didn't do the proper procedure to amend the budget, to amend the agenda, and also to even call for the meeting that night, tonight. That wasn't done
There wasn't a
properly.
need to amend the agenda.
You had to
We
amend
called
the agenda
for
to
the
put
meeting.
December 1 on
We
it.
properly called for the meeting.
No.
The agenda
We did
was
not.
set,
We
and
did
then
not.
that agenda was adopted by
No.
unanimous consent.
No, he said
Well,
by
let's go to the
acclamation.
minutes. Let's go to the
There is no acclamation.
Do we
You
have
have to
copies of
have
the
a
minutes
yes
from the
or no
last
vote.
meeting?
Yeah, where are the minutes?
The minutes.
Did anybody hear what Mr. Woods said
Yeah,
with respect to his conversation with Ms. Williams
Yes.
today? Did anybody hear that?
yeah,
It wasn't in.
yes.
Okay.
I kinda asked you
Does anybody care?
I kinda asked him to expand on the
And I'm
CMAQ.
here to do the business of this board. The CMAP, my God, Mr. Woods, if this board tonight passed a resolution to approve that, does it put the board in any exposure?
No.
If it wasn't required, no, it doesn't hurt anything.
Oh, I
So if I was
understand.
asking for it, why not do it? Why
We never
resist?
finished.
Why?
I asked
Oh
him
my
to
God.
tell me what Miss Williams said, Mr. Woods. That's what I asked you about the CMAQ. I don't know if you ever finished that sentence.
As best
You
I
did
can,
let him. You did
I can sum up for you. If she was not just concerned with the items that are on the agenda that was, that's on the letterhead. She was concerned about all the other items also that were on the agenda that had been previously put forward. And it just wasn't the budget, it just wasn't the return of the $4.2 million, it just wasn't the resolution transferring the $46,000. It just wasn't that. It was issues as it relates to the procurement policy, it was issues as it relates to the, what we're doing about the executive director and hiring an executive director. It was issues as it relates to the bylaws. So those were all issues that, in the conversation I had with her, and other HUD officials today, and she called me, that they're very concerned about. And what was made very clear to me is that they are out of patience to deal with, dealing with the housing authority as it is now, and that they want to see progress on all of these issues, not just some of these issues, but all of these issues. The fact that we have not had any real board meeting in 6 months, or however long it's been, is a concern to them. The fact that, and she still believes on the CMAP side, that she's correct. I don't know, because, well, it wasn't shared with me, so I don't have an opinion on that, because none of that, she told me about it, but no one has sent a copy of any of that to me, so I don't know, I don't have an opinion on whatever 985-101 means, because no one's ever sent a copy to me. So I can't apply on that. But what I can tell you is that I implore you, I don't know how to beg you to handle these items. And to Mr. Mr. Martinez's point, we did painlessly talk about what was supposed to be on the agenda for tonight. And we went through that. And I thought that everybody had agreed. We had a unanimous vote. And it was passed to everybody. I implore you, please, and you can do what you want to do, but I strongly urge you to address these issues and address them tonight. And they may not all be finished tonight, but I think, again, from my conversation with Ms. Williams and the other HUD officials, they want to see progress. And that's as plain as I could say. If you don't want to, however you guys want to do what you can do it, but I strongly urge you to take up all of these items tonight. One, because this is what you agreed upon. This is what you all voted upon.
If you didn't follow the procedure, Mr. Woods is what I'm trying to tell you. You didn't follow the open meetings law. That's what I'm trying to explain to you. We didn't do the proper steps. That's all. We didn't do the proper steps. That's the problem. We didn't do it. And look, it happened to us before. It happened to us back in April and May. Same thing. We didn't follow the procedure. We weren't following the law. And we need to do that. Now look, I think we can amend the agenda and put the CMAQ on there, pass a resolution. I don't have any problem with that. That's an overabundance of caution. I'm all for that.
Then we can
I'm
do
all
all the
for that.
other items as well.
Right.
Absolutely.
No,
We
we
can do
no,
CMAQ.
the problem, once again.
Then you draw the distinction.
What-
You give us
what-
what the distinction between the issues are.
What I'm trying to tell you is that you didn't follow the open meetings law and
No,
you
no, no, no.
violated our bylaws.
Why do you say we
You
could
have
put
to
the
adhere to the law.
CMAP? Why do you say we could put the CMAP issue on there, but we can't put any of the other issues on there?
It's the same difference.
The difference is,
Each one would
why
have
don't
to
we
be
be honest,
considered.
why don't we be honest?
Each
You-
one's gotta be
You
considered on its
don't
own
want the
merits.
other items on the
No,
agenda.
no. Each one has to be considered on its own merits, okay?
All
Each
of them will
one.
be considered on their own merits.
Legally,
Right, so we're gonna do.
Legally,
so
there's
do
no
the CMAQ.
difference.
Let me
Legally,
explain.
there's
Look,
no
let me
difference.
just-
Under the
no, I'm
open-
gonna tell you the difference, okay, Mr. Norman? There's lack specificity with regard to both the bylaws and the procurement policy. All it said up there was make some changes. You can't have a public comment on changes unless they've noted. What are the changes? There was nothing in there about what the changes were. And you also know on the bylaws, it takes, to amend it, you have to hold it for 70 days. And everyone gets a copy of it. At the end of those 70 days, then we vote on it. So you couldn't make
Okay.
any changes to the bylaws to begin with.
Okay.
Okay? But you
Okay.
put it on the agenda, it lacks specificity. When you read the open meetings law, it specifically says it has to have
Mr. Lawson,
specificity. You
Mr.
have to
Lawson,
put it
it
in.
wasn't put on there to amend the bylaws, it was put on there to discuss it.
Well, then
what
that's
a
what I
board
have on there
does.
tonight.
A board
I have,
discusses
that's what
the
I
bylaws.
have, that's what I have on there tonight.
We discuss things.
There's discussion,
No,
bylaw
Mr.
discussion,
Lawson, you
procurement
picked
policy.
and chose the matters that we consented to and agreed to at that meeting, the ones that
But
you
I don't-
wanted, and you put them on an agenda that you felt was
Okay,
appropriate.
with
That's
all-
not going to
Mr.
happen
Martinez,
tonight.
with
Can I make
all
a
due,
It's not gonna
excuse me,
happen.
no, with all due respect, once again, I'm explaining to you, we did not follow the procedure that's in place to amend the agenda, and it was amended twice without doing the proper
Mr.
procedure.
Lawson,
One,
let me clarify to
you
you.
have to let me finish, excuse me,
No,
I got
you
the
don't let
floor.
me finish.
I got the, no, I have the floor.
I'm an attorney at law, so
Okay.
don't tell me that I can't read these
Well,
documents
don't tell
and
me I
interpret
can't read
them.
them either, okay? I can read as well.
And I have an opinion from the board's attorney saying it was appropriate. So, where's your opinion from an attorney?
If I could
If you
ask,
listen to, if you took the disc and watched the disc, watch the meeting, you can watch the meeting now because of our cameras, okay? And you will see that we did not follow the proper protocol of what it takes to amend the agenda. There were two amendments. One was the, excuse me, I got the floor. One was the second agenda that Ms. Pearson had. We didn't do that properly, and then when it came to calling for the date, today's date, December the 1st, we didn't do that correctly. You had to have a public comment. It didn't happen for either of those two. And then you didn't have a unanimous vote to put them on the agenda to be considered.
Yes, we
He
did.
only took a vote, no, he took a vote
we did.
afterwards. No.
Then how are we meeting? Then how are we having this meeting tonight?
We having this meeting tonight
We didn't
because
have a public
I called
comment about
a
it
special
tonight.
meeting for tonight. This is a separate agenda, Mr. Norman, separate agenda. Separate
Ms.
agenda,
Bowman, could you get that tape from last meeting, please?
separate agenda.
The video?
Do you have the minutes
No.
from the last meeting?
No,
Why?
why not? Because I didn't type them up.
Why didn't you?
Because I have many different duties to do.
So
And I didn't
we're-
get a
so-
chance to do the minutes.
So how does the
sorry?
board
Wait,
approve?
one second, just keep some decorum.
That's convenient.
So you didn't?
Mr. Woods,
That's convenient.
Mr. Woods,
Yes,
I
sir.
think I've explained myself tonight that we did not do the procedure properly and that we're doing this agenda.
And what I'm saying is that I don't know that, and I can't apply on that because I haven't seen the minutes. So, and I believe that we did it correctly, otherwise I would have told you differently at that time. I do remember at the last meeting that I did speak about we should have a public comment. I think
We did.
well, we did, but I think that at some point I did say, hey, listen, guys, we need to go back and do the public comment thing because it had not been done, which I think took place.
But you
But
had to
what I-
have a public comment on each one of those amendments to the agenda. You had to do a public comment on each one, Mr. Woods.
Okay, I guess.
Look, I think we need to go back to the original statement. If we have this
Excuse me,
incredible
hold on, I'm listening to
lawsuit,
Mr. Woods here. I'm listening
you
to
know,
Mr. Woods.
I have a motion
Excuse me.
on the floor to adjourn, and we have a second. And if we go back to what you said, and the fact of the matter is, we're sitting here, we don't have minutes from this meeting. I've got a letter from an attorney who says he's reviewed minutes. You know, I don't
Review the
know.
tape. Review the tape.
Well, if you reviewed a tape, whose tape? I don't know whose tape.
Mr. Pearson's tape in the back room.
Well, that's great. I'm glad he reviewed Mr. Pearson's tape. I haven't reviewed anything, and I don't have the benefit of anything, and I'm not gonna sit here and continue with this charade, you know,
All I can tell you is-
and the executive director of this organization is sitting here saying she didn't have time to do the minutes. Well, that's not acceptable to me.
Mr.
And
Woods.
that's not fair to the members of this board, that we don't have access to these minutes. You know,
I
and,
believe I even said something at one time that she needs an assistant, because she's doing both jobs that she used to have the other one.
Yeah, you correct.
She
You
doesn't
correct,
have
Mr.
Can
Burchett.
I say something?
Yes, Ms. Garber.
Plus now I have to send all the paperwork to HUD to be reviewed before they pay, and payroll, and the many other things I do. I come in early, I stay late, and I work weekends.
and I appreciate that, but that's our own problem of our own making.
We need to
That's
get
our
an
fault.
assistant.
Well, Mr.
I
Woods,
don't
Cut.
know.
Because
Mr. Woods,
we
just
can't
understand
take
what
one
I
step forward.
have explained
And
to you.
let me make one thing,
Wait
no,
a
no, no,
second.
I got the floor. Let me make one thing clear, Ms. Cartman. If I hear one more comment like that from you, you work for us. Let me make that very clear.
Okay, you.
And we're gonna do, we need to do to make sure that we are fulfilling our fiduciary obligation. Now, I could sit here and throw barbs at you, such as, why would you send in a voucher to be paid that is due at the end of December, which is a gross sum on a water bill that exceeds what the net amount is if you pay it before that date? That HUD had to send you a note to find out the same thing. So if we want to get picayunish, and why is the CMAP certification turned in on the last day, probably only after y'all got the notice from HUD that it was due? So let us not play the picayunish game. If you want to go there, I am more than willing to get into that arena with you.
Thank you, Mr.
I would
Garber.
suggest, and I would also suspect, that you do not want to go there with me.
Okay, you made your point. You made your point. Point's taken, okay? Thank you.
So what's on the floor is that you have a motion to adjourn and there's a second. Under Robert's rules, which we operate under, motions to adjourn are not available. You can call the question for that, or Mr. Norman can withdraw that motion if there's another motion. I believe that Mr. Davis had made a motion to go into executive session, but I think that was after your motion, Mr. Norman. And I don't know, I don't know what you all want to do, but right now you have a motion on the floor.
I
that you need to do.
have community six with me this statement.
What are we gonna accomplish tonight?
You need to pass the budget. That's what you need to do. You need to pass the budget. The other items on there, we can punt those down the road, but you have to pass the budget. I want to do all three of these because Ms. Cheryl Williams asked me to do those.
Well, she's asked me to do an awful
Listen,
lot
it's
too.
walk down, man, and we got a long way to go.
Thank you.
He had a conversation with Ms. Williams. We can't punt. We
Now,
cannot.
I want to address all three of them. She asked me to do this, I'm trying to do it.
I think we have
You
quite
know,
a few more things on our agenda that she's asked us to put on here that need to be debated tonight.
Excuse me, but Ms. Williams doesn't create the agenda, okay? The four members don't create the agenda. The chairman sets the agenda. Now, I've tried to put on there the other items, trying to get this meeting as short as possible to address the biggest issue before us, the budget. The budget has to be passed. We can't continue this. It has to be passed. It's our third attempt to pass the budget. Now, all of the obstructionists, we can't handle that anymore. We need to deal with our problem. Our problem is the budget. This is the agenda. The other two agendas are illegal, that we didn't do them correctly. I'm tired of telling y'all that.
Mr.
In
Lawson,
your opinion.
I don't appreciate the comments of obstructionists. We have
Well,
been trying.
you second the motion to walk out of here and adjourn the meeting.
Because
How are
we
you gonna
have-
pass the
we
budget
have
that
to
way?
pass something.
Huh? How are you
We
gonna
have
pass
to
the
pass
budget that way?
something.
You're really looking out for the housing authority. No, what you want to do
Hold
is
on.
make it a troubled housing authority. That's what you
It
want.
already is. It already is.
No, you can, well, that's debatable. It's only under the section 8, and then you also have to state why you didn't have a meeting. There are reasons there. You know, she explained this to me. This just didn't
There's one
happen.
obstructionist, and that would be you.
No, there's no obstructions here. I'm
So,
trying to get
but
this done.
also, so let's think of this as well. One of the things that was supposed to be on the agenda was the court case that we had, the housing authority, Parish of Jefferson versus the housing authority.
That's not there.
We have a trial that's set for next week. I can't, from a professional or ethical standpoint, move forward without any direction from the board. If we go to trial, the only thing that I can do is just sit there because I have no direction from the board. So even if you believe that wasn't part of the agenda, I still think that needs to be added to this agenda.
And
It
as
needs
I
to be
recall, you
discussed.
requested that at the last meeting.
I did.
To be placed on the agenda as well.
I did.
Mr. Woods,
But we
with
do
regard to
know,
that.
we do
Excuse me,
know that
Mr.
this
Long,
chairman
excuse me,
does
Mr.
not
Long.
want to talk about that
Excuse me,
issue.
Mr. Woods. At the date in which we were given a trial date, you stood up before the judge, along with the parish attorney, and both of you agreed to a trial date, and the trial date was given. So that's what has happened. Now, all of a sudden, the parish is sending you something. No, what should happen is we go to the trial date. That's what you stood up there and said we were going to do. That's what they agreed to.
Let me be clear. I'm going to interrupt you on this point. My license is never going to be at stake for anybody. I'm going to be real clear about that. Never going to be at stake for anybody. And the only thing I have is professional integrity. And that's what I have. And that's what Wayne Woods. And so what Wayne Woods is going to do is the thing that's most important for his professional integrity and for the 2 children and wife that I have. Now, what I have said is that, yes, absolutely, this needs to be resolved. It needs to be resolved. I think we have a good resolution. Let's resolve it. But I can't put my professional reputation and my license on the line if I have a client that doesn't tell me what they want me to do. I don't know what you want me to do. We need to go into executive session to just discuss that.
Okay, well, Mr. Woods, let me ask you this. I know you don't represent Mr. Fenneman.
Right.
So at the trial, you're representing me as the chairman?
No.
Who are you representing? The board? Who are you representing?
That's been handled.
The housing authority.
The housing authority.
And you in your official capacity as a board member, or
Okay.
as chairman of the board.
Okay.
Because that's how the lawsuit has been, because if you recall correctly, you originally named individually, the parish dismissed
Yeah.
that
Right.
cause of action against you. I will also tell you this, and I would have told you this in executive session, but it doesn't seem like you're going to go into it. HUD is not going to continue to pay or authorize payments for this particular lawsuit. They're not going to do it. They're just not going to do it. And let me be honest with you. I have a daughter in college. I don't work for free.
And let me also be honest
Wait a
with you.
second, wait, excuse me. Mr. Woods. I don't think anybody was questioning your integrity or that you want to keep your license or whatever. That's not what I did state is that the parish attorney apparently has changed his mind and tried to send to you some resolution which does not benefit Mr. Finnerty, who is the actual legal commissioner.
Look at what you just said. This does not benefit Mr. Finnerty. That has nothing to do with me.
Well,
That has
I
nothing to do with my representation.
I know, but
of
what
the
I'm
housing
trying to tell you is
authority.
the parish attorney stood up and agreed with you that nothing would take place until the trial date of the fifth.
But what we also said was that this was an exercise in really just researching the documents. We have researched the documents. We have come to what I consider to be a fair agreement on the terms. I don't know what else we need to do. And HUD is not going to pay for me or anybody else from this point forward to do anything on this case. That's the reality of it all. So it needs to be, we have to resolve this because we're going to trial next week.
And Mr. Woods, as I recall, it may have been back in, I don't know when this litigation started, June.
Mm-hmm.
And did you and I not have a conversation? I was out of town on the phone. And I told you then that I thought you had an ethical dilemma at that point in time.
You sure did.
And I warned you of that ethical dilemma.
You did.
And I said to you that I would report you to the Bar Association if we did not resolve this ethical dilemma, because the board chairman is refusing to allow us to go into executive session so that this board can pass a resolution actually giving you the instructions of what the desire of the board is as it relates to this litigation. Did I not?
You did. I've never shared that with anybody else.
And until the time that this board is given that opportunity, if you advocate in any way, shape, or form that we are going to have an issue. And after the trial date that Mr. Lawson was so excited about sharing with the council that you and I had a heated argument in the hallway outside of the courtroom, and it was
actually might have been in the courtroom.
or in the courtroom, and we did. It was about that very conversation, was it not? Because I did not want to have to report you to the Bar Association. Correct?
We did have a conversation about that, yes.
Mr. Woods.
Just for the record.
Mr. Woods. The information that the parish attorney sent to you,
Mm-hmm.
they are still claiming, even though they stated, they said to you and gave you the information that Mr. Finnety's term had not expired. But in this resolution that they're sending to you, asking you to act on it, they still are saying that Mr. Martinez is the member and not Mr. Finnerty. That's what they want you to sign off on.
No, that's not correct.
No.
What Mr. Finnerty still would have his cause of action if it's actionable, and that's for debate and not for me to opine upon. The reason why we set it out this way in seat 1 through 9 is to identify the person who's sitting in the seat. It's not dispositive that Mr. Martinez may not be replaced by Mr. Finnerty if Judge Kovac agrees with Mr. Finnerty and his attorney. It's not dispositive of that. What the Exhibit A of the judgment is just saying that this person sits in this seat, and we know that going forward. So it is not dispositive as it relates to Mr. Finnerty. When I said that to you guys, I thought that I said that.
You did.
It was clear.
Yeah, it was clear. It was setting
So,
the term.
Mr. Woods, so what you're telling me is that what you want to do is sign off on that, because I know those each one of those have been completed now, an audit of every one of the seats, so they know when they start and when they end. So are you telling me that you want that this is to identify these are the actual dates and terms of these people?
The dates and terms of those
commissioners?
particular seats.
Of those seats.
Of the seats. And we're only identifying names in the exhibit to identify the person who's currently sitting in that seat. Again, Mr. Finnerty, if he's successful in his action, would then come back in and take over Mr. Martinez's seat based upon the
Judgment of the court.
the judgment of the court. And so his term, again, based upon the research that we've done, doesn't expire until February 10th, 2018.
That's correct.
But, so this will not be dispositive of that particular seat, it's just dispositive of the terms.
So it's clarifying the term of that seat.
Right, and then if you look at the Exhibit A, it just says current commissioner, which the only seat that is currently up for discussion, debate, or clarity by the judge is just Mr. Finley's seat if we accept this. And again, in executive session, I can tell you some other things that I do not feel comfortable in discussing right
We
now.
shouldn't be discussing any of this, quite frankly, in an open
Okay,
session.
but I think we have,
Completely breaching our fiduciary
I'm trying
obligation.
to, this is my concern, and you answer this, and hopefully maybe we can go into executive session. You tell me this, Mr. Woods. Are you saying to me that by, whatever action that we would take, whatever you would recommend, has no effect on Mr. Finley going forward with his attorney before the judge?
It has no effect on that, and he can file whatever suit he wants, he can file whatever claim he wants. Again, I have an opinion as to whether or not he's timely, but again, it has nothing to do with my representation to you of the Housing Authority of Jefferson Parish. But I can tell you that we have to, I think, and I think that we've done the research, and I'm confident and comfortable in the research and the resolutions that we looked at, and again, we've gone back all the way back, to 1954, 52, whatever it is. I'm confident in that. And we're just setting the terms. It is not dispositive of Mr. Finley's action. He still has to, so even if we enter into this today, Mr. Finley still would have to go to trial on his particular issue. We're just getting rid of the Housing Authority of Jefferson Parish from this litigation.
Because the fact of the matter is, we have no standing in this litigation.
None.
Is that correct?
Yes, and then there's, you know, to be honest with you, and
So we're wasting.
I'd rather go into executive session anyway.
Can I just ask for one document before we go in? The Housing Authority paid just over $12,000 for its own investigation of this. Could I see that document, what that research
They
was
will
that we paid for?
they will be here tomorrow. Let me just mention this to
Well, we
you,
paid for
Mr.
it 2 months
Woods.
ago.
They just completed it, excuse me.
Well, we paid for it 2 months ago.
They
You
just
pay before
completed-
you get it?
No, they're still working on it. They're bringing it tomorrow. They just finished it today. Mr. Woods, let me ask you a question. With regard to,
There was a resolution to do that?
no, the executive director can do that. She has the right to spend up to $50,000.
Wait, she has a right to determine whether or not her
No,
boss
No, excuse me.
is
Let me-
appropriately seated?
No, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the spending of the money.
No, that's.
Mr. Woods,
Yeah.
Mr. Woods, wait a second,
The
wait a
spending-
second, get out of order.
The
Mr.
spending-
Woods, I have a question for Mr. Woods. Mr. Woods, the information that you have before you, is that what the parish attorney gave you?
It's information that the parish attorney and I compiled together.
Okay, do you do know that C2 and 5 are not correct?
Not according to the documents that I reviewed.
C2 and 5 are not correct, okay? I know that, I've just finished going over that with the auditors that's doing it.
I've not seen the audit report, so I don't have any, I mean,
They have the person that may be in that seat, but they don't have the proper documentation going back, okay? I just want to point that out to you. Tomorrow, you will have the actual documentation that's correct.
Well, if
On seat 2 and 5.
Mr. Woods, if HUD's not gonna pay you, how would we suspect that HUD's gonna pay
They're not. They already said
this,
they're not.
this company to investigate whether or not
Well,
somebody
Mr. Woods
could
is
be
gonna be
seated on
paid
this
when we pass the budget, then we're gonna move forward. That's what has to
Well,
happen.
Mr. Woods is not gonna be paid.
Mr. Woods
HUD's
is
is
not
not,
gonna be paid.
HUD's not gonna authorize payment. And I told
You don't know that.
I
You
told
don't know
Mr.
that.
Woods, well, yes, I do, I've
Yes.
talked to Ms. Williams about it.
Oh,
And I'm not voting to pay.
There's another problem, because we have a resolution on the books, because Ms. Williams asked that only the chairman speak to her. So that resolution was passed by this board, that only chairman contacts, because she didn't want 9 phone calls coming into her office every day.
Well, I wasn't here for that resolution.
No, that's resolution number 733. I know you weren't here for it. It passed 20 years ago.
Well, and Ms. Williams, and she can waive that if she chooses.
That's correct.
Can I say something? You know,
Yes,
we've
Ms.
been here
Martin.
almost an hour, and we have not accomplished
Right.
anything,
Yeah.
except back and
We
forth.
still have my motion on the floor.
the motion on the floor.
There's a motion on the floor to adjourn, it's been seconded by Ms. Pearson. Roll call vote.
Can we vote?
Roll call vote.
All right. Mr. Lawson?
No.
Spurgeon?
What's this now?
adjourn.
This is the motion to
Repeat
adjourn.
the motion.
The motion was by, Mr. Norman, seconded by Ms. Pearson to adjourn the meeting. Under Robert's Rules of Order, which we operate under, there's no debate on a motion to adjourn. And a motion to adjourn can be moved at any time.
Ms. Bodine? Motion to adjourn, yes?
No.
or
No, we don't want to adjourn, we got past the budget.
You telling people how
I'm asking you to
Tell her how to vote.
Listen, I'm not telling her how to vote, I'm giving her some information, just telling her how to vote. Like nobody tells somebody else how to vote, they don't say, hey, can you help me out?
That's the second time.
I'm all been in politics too long.
Second time I've done
Ms.
that.
Bodine,
Excuse me, you do not have to tell me how to do nothing.
there you go.
I'm trying to find out what's gonna happen if y'all do adjourn the meeting like you say.
Right, so
Kill it back here, cause see, all y'all need to pray and pray hard. Because
I
y'all
do.
messing with tenants' lives,
I do.
you understand? So I don't know what the foolishness is with y'all, cause like I told you, when I first got on the board, I don't know nothing about it.
Give me 5 minutes and I'll explain it to you.
You'll take no longer than 5 minutes to explain.
No, it only takes
I've been
5.
around a long time, but it won't take 5 minutes for me to think, cause I really and truly, the way y'all cut up, I don't trust none of you.
Ms. Bodine, we adjourn.
Thank you. Excuse me, she's got the floor. Excuse me.
What is the plan? What is the plan? Is y'all doing it for the tenant, or is something else going on
Absolutely.
that we don't know nothing about?
Can I
You wouldn't be,
answer
you wouldn't be,
you? Want me to
you wouldn't be,
answer you?
excuse me, we're taking a vote right
I
now.
know one thing, Ms.
Excuse me.
Bodine, but for us, you wouldn't have known about the mold.
Excuse
That I
me,
can tell you.
excuse me. The roll call vote.
Yes or no?
I'll say let's have the meeting. Try to get something.
Mr. Davis?
Okay, what about us?
Adjourn.
No?
Adjourn.
Yes, adjourn?
Yes.
Okay. Ms. Martinez?
Yes.
Ms. Minor?
I have no opinion.
No, you have to vote, Ms. Miles.
She can abstain.
She can abstain.
I can abstain if I want to.
Okay.
I know my rights.
Yes.
Mr. Norman?
Yes.
Ms. Pearson?
Yes.
Good night. This is the virtual vote. What do you do?
you voted in favor.
Oh, there you go. Nothing accomplished again. There you go. So got it? Nothing accomplished again. Because of you, Mr. Walsh. Not because of me. No. You got to follow the law. You know more about that than I do.
Yes, I did. Why arguing with you?
Well, what I'm trying to tell you is you didn't follow the law that time. That's what I'm trying to tell you. You're not above the law. Okay?
Not for you, Mr. Lawson, but you
No, you're not above the law. So you keep screwing up the house. You know it.
I